all good? Is it all good? Are we recording? Hello? Is, is this thing on?
on?
Is this thing on?
This is okay. I would like to not edit as much as possible. That being said, I'm probably going to edit this out.
Okay.
Just like until we figure out how to start it. I feel like we could say like welcome to the what'd you think thing. What'd you think, Tank?
Maybe we should figure this out first.
So, how are you?
I'm good.
I think we just won't have an intro. I think we're just gonna start it.
You were thinking of like an actual intro. I was just thinking like, what are the first words we're gonna say?
That's what I was thinking. No,
I was just
like I have an intro picked out. Like you're not gonna hear it right now because it didn't play, but it's Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban, when it's the dark arts teacher making like the wisp things go into the trunk. It's pretty good. It sounds good.
So we're a Harry Potter podcast because I have the box set right here.
Where's that?
Right here.
Show it off. Show it off.
Okay, well actually the movies are in the other room, but I do have the books. Let me grab them real quick.
Well, I have one book, not even I have my Curse of Strahd. This start is amazing. For our audio only portion of this is just not interesting at all. And I know you didn't hear that, so I'm gonna end up repeating myself.
I'm back.
What I was saying is like for the audio only like listeners,
yeah,
this is just like not making any sense to them at all. But
right. Oh, this is all in it?
Yeah, this is in it.
All right. Cool. I somehow have tangled up previously untangled wires without unplugging either of them.
Okay, anyways, welcome to the What'd You Think podcast. This is episode 1 of hopefully many. At least 3.
At least 3.
We've recorded 2 without Cameron. We've recorded 2 episodes that will probably never see the light of day.
I'll see them.
But one was Prisoners and one was the Batman. The Batman one I might release because that's just like really good. But I didn't have my good microphone plugged in.
Maybe that one will be
like my rig headset.
Exclusive.
Or the way
exclusive.
Our podcast is gonna have an OnlyFans where we just only release our uncut stuff.
Right, where we just add the 5 minutes before where
we just where we don't know what we're doing.
Right.
Yes. Well, this is Cameron. He is gonna be here for the long run.
I'm here for the long haul.
For the long haul.
Mm-hmm.
And that
which is only
segue,
a book. Which is only a book and not a movie.
Segue to our movie Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
No,
that's actually
haul. It's unfortunate that movie never came out. We're gonna pretend that happened. The movie never came out.
Recast everybody.
But a movie that did come out, at least at a film festival, but not.
Well, we're not talking about it yet. We're not talking about it yet. We have to set it up, Cameron. You can't just jump in.
That was the setup. That was the perfect segue.
No. That's not. All right. We just gotta. I mean, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. Okay, they gotta know us. Mainly
my
you.
name. Okay. Well, they have to know both of us, actually, if those other 2 episodes aren't happening. But as you can see by, the background, this is me, right?
You're probably wondering how I got here.
You're probably wondering how I got here. Yeah, no, I'm Cameron. My hobbies include and are limited to movies, video games, and that's pretty much it.
Nice.
I don't have a lot going on
to that list as well,
which ties into our movie.
No, we're not ready yet.
No, wait. Who are you?
I watch some movies. I like some video games. Food's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
But we're not using that as a segue.
A segue to what? our movie this week.
Our movie this
Which,
week,
which
is not being said yet, even though the
it's gonna be
title
in the
probably
title.
spoils it.
That's the thing. Like all these episodes
we
from
can do
everything.
secret movie review for the title.
Right.
And, no.
We could review it without ever saying what it is.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, we could spoil it too, and people will just have zero clue. No. Anyways, so early October, me and Cameron had the opportunity to go to Heartland Film Festival, which is in Indianapolis, Indiana. So we had to get out of our nice sunny California house, hop on a plane, go all the way to Indiana. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's not true. In reality, we spent $20 to go see the whale, which is honestly,
it was so cool.
Such a cool experience. That's both of our first festivals.
You should have been wearing your Heartland shirt, honestly.
I should have. But also, I've been wearing the sweatshirt for 3 days, and I can't. I'm starting to smell it now, so I have to like really wait for overnight to like take it off. Just because laundry costs money. But anyways, anyways, this was our first festival. The only movie Cameron saw of this festival was The Whale. Me and my wife, we got to go see Empire of Light, which is by Sam Mendes. Fantastic. I'm excited to watch that in December with you. And we can make a little video on that. And then we also got to see Broker, which was not as good. But it's the Park I don't know. I don't have the cast pulled up, so instead of attempting a Korean name,
we don't really need to get into the cast.
It's the dad from Parasite. It's the dad from Parasite. He's in it. He's the lead, and he's really. Everyone's really good in it. I like him a lot. Not as much as Empire of Light. We had the opportunity to go see Banshees of Inisherin, but we turned it down because I had to work. And we had an opportunity to go see Women Talking, which I wanted to see, but also I had to work, so that didn't quite work out. But we got to see The Whale.
If I wanted to see Women Talking, I'd just go to Thanksgiving with my family, right? Am I right, fellas?
And speaking of Thanksgiving dinner,
and lots of food,
and overweight people, because that's you and me,
and the lead.
Well, not Indiana, which is Brendan. Yes, it's all coming full circle. Is that what you're referring to?
I was just talking about how the guy in the movie is overweight.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought, okay. Well, I thought you were being smart for a second.
We already said we watched The Whale.
Yeah, we did. So we watched The Whale. We had a pretty packed theater. I mean, I would assume.
Which
for this being a festival.
I feel like later on we should talk about the people in the theater. Yeah. Because that did contribute to my movie experience.
So we're kind of we didn't put much, as you can probably tell.
Before we get further, should we say who made it and who's in it?
Well, hold on 1 second. Okay. Whoa, this is all background stuff.
All right.
We didn't do much preparation for this, so and it's gonna be very obvious to tell as far as our structure goes and what we're gonna be talking. Which I
feel like it's been pretty seamless so far.
It's fine. I think it's going great personally. Yeah. I can't imagine a better start. But anyways, that's besides the point.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's besides. We got to see it with our friend Riley. And I will gotta say, Toby, it's one of those. The Toby Theater, which I am not the biggest fan of that theater. Okay, I will say. I think the screen was getting cut off. I don't know. We've never talked about this. It wasn't like really detrimental at all. But it was just enough to be annoying whenever they would do zoom out shots, and I'm like, well,
especially the first and last shot where
it's because and I just it was annoying to say the least. It wasn't taking anything away from it, but I'm just you really don't you couldn't have just adjusted the projector just a little bit to fit the screen, you know?
A film festival you think would have that figured out.
Right, I would think so. But oh well. Still a fun night nonetheless. I was really happy with the whole experience. We had a great time. But I mean, do you have anything to add? I mean, I'm sure you had fun.
It was great.
I had some canned water.
Yeah, well, you did.
Oh, you didn't have anything.
Yeah, it's too rich for my blood. So
he spent all his money on the whale tickets. So
yep, all $20 that I had to my name went straight to that ticket.
anyways, let's go ahead and get into this, okay? The
Yeah.
Whale, directed by Darren Aronofsky, is about a reclusive English teacher who attempts to reconnect with his estranged teenage daughter. That is the IMDb synopsis. And
Who stars in it?
oh, great
That's what I've been
question.
That's what I've been wondering. That's what
Great
I've been wondering.
question. You know, the cast consists of the Brendan Fraser, an Indiana favorite, only
An Indiana native,
an
in
Indiana
fact,
native. Him and Adam Driver, the only people we really got. We
and
got
Michael Jackson,
well, but he's kind of like
Abraham Lincoln.
He's getting canceled.
Abraham Lincoln is not getting
Not
canceled.
Abraham Lincoln. Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Also stars Sadie Sink, Simpkins, and Chau.
Sadie Sink in Stranger Things, which also takes place in Indiana.
Full circle.
Dude,
Full circle.
it is a full circle.
Darren Aronofsky, also known for directing. You may know him from Mother, Requiem for a Dream, The Whale, and Black Swan. Brendan Fraser, obviously from your Mummy movies, Sadie Sink, and yeah, you know them.
Yeah.
So, what did you think, Cameron, about this whole experience? Don't get into like the details yet.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, we're gonna do spoiler-free section first. So if you're like watching or listening to this and you're like, tell me what you thought, what did you think, but don't tell me what happens, we got you covered.
Yeah. So we're gonna tell you what we think because I'm curious. What did you think? You know.
Well, I think a great first sentence to say is I I don't cry during movies. I just don't. I don't cry really at all. I do get emotional, but I don't never really cry. This movie has probably got me the closest to crying that any movie ever has. And that really is like a big statement.
So going off of that, I'm a very emotional person when it comes to movies. I can pretty much connect on any movie, as my wife can. My wife is more of an animal dies than that's her thing. Which I mean, if you've seen John Wick, you know that's one of the, like the saddest scenes in cinema. Okay,
right.
But I have never been moved in such a way by someone's performance to like the story, yes, like with everything everywhere, like there's like especially that like middle sequence type thing between the two leads is like really but it's all story too. Like the story is just really well written. Whereas I've never seen a performance so good that I legitimately feel someone else's pain through the poorly ratioed screen of our theater. And that to me is the well, and it could just be the hype of seeing it at a festival, but it arguably is one of the best performances I have ever seen.
Because the thing that cancels out, I think that did help the poor setup of the theater helped cancel out the like cool factor of a festival. Because like the coolness of the festival intersects with the ineptitude of the festival, which means it a regular viewing experience, which lets the movie speak for itself.
Right. Also, like TIFF was like the week before, which is like a high, like pristine festival where I'm sure there's like no issues with the screen at all. It's like all high budget. And then go in here and you've got like these freaking old like foldable chairs that you're sitting on, and then like they're using like two speakers of the whole theater to play the sound through. No, I'm not bashing it because we are gonna go back next year probably.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna see more stuff. Like,
and I stood up when they called for future filmmakers.
Yeah, you did. Which I don't know why.
Could be true.
No, they did not call for future filmmakers. They called for filmmakers at the festival.
I will be a future filmmaker in the future. Like so.
That's not what that doesn't
I was
matter.
just standing up like ahead of time, and people were clapping towards me because what I figured was I thought many people were going to stand up. I didn't know it was going to be one of three people that stood up, and like the whole array of like the 250.
No, because not everyone is like not everyone's like, oh, I'm thinking about it. I'm going to take credit for it right now.
Well, I figured though, like you're at a festival, like you're watching The Whale. It's the last film of the festival. There's like a big after party that we're not going to because we're tired.
And because we weren't invited.
Because we weren't invited also. Well, who knows? I probably could have got us invited. Like
You
the
definitely
head
could not
of
have.
the festival was like looking at me and was like clapping for me and everything. So who knows? He was probably thinking like those guys could get a party on.
No.
No. He was not thinking that. Anyways, yeah, and I like we're not the first ones to say this. Everyone's going to be saying this. His performance is truly one of the the best I've seen this year for sure. Um, and arguably, like I've seen in like I would say the last 10 years. I think this is like a very impressive performance. Uh, and it just like helps with like kind of everything he's went through too. It's just really cool. It's like such a good comeback story for him. And
Yeah.
obviously I feel like he's going to get the Oscar this year. That's no surprise to anybody. I can't think of anybody that I would give it to otherwise. And we can kind of talk about that in like a later part.
Time.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna probably do an Oscar thing. But overall, what I think of it, I think it struggles in a few things here and there. But the main thing that this movie does have going for it is the performance of Brendan Fraser, and his co-stars aren't bad either. But they're just not on like Brendan's level.
I think that this is in the running for a direction nomination. Maybe not win, but definitely a nomination because it was adapted from a stage play,
Mm-hmm.
and you can tell, but not in like a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell in that like they took this thing that already existed and were able to adapt it into like and bring out its strengths that you could only bring out in a movie that you couldn't necessarily do on a stage, you
Right.
know? And that was one of my favorite aspects of it, was just seeing like the actual, for a little bit of context without obviously no spoilers, the whole movie pretty much takes place in one place. And so
It does. I mean,
yeah,
there's some flashbacks here and there,
but
but
it's like 99% of the movies
yeah,
in one place, and the way they're able to fully utilize and get the actors moving around the place in meaningful ways, not just as like, oh, people might get bored if they're just sitting, so let's have them walk around. There actually meaning and depth behind the
yeah.
movements that people make.
And to add on that, the movie shot in a 4:3 aspect ratio,
Just like Zack Snyder would have wanted.
just like how Zack Snyder would have wanted. But it really does feed into that like trapped feeling that
Hmm.
that I mean we have watching it, because it takes place in not a big house. I
Right.
don't even think it's a house at all. I think it's like an
It's an
apartment or
apartment.
something.
Yeah.
So it's not huge at all. It's like a narrow hallway and everything. You can see the whole house pretty much from wherever the camera is at. And we're really put in Brendan's shoes with this, where it's like we can't go anywhere unless he goes somewhere, because obviously the movie follows him.
Hmm.
And so the whole aspect ratio in itself and the cinematography really does help that like constrictive feeling that you have watching it, which only benefits to it, because it is surprisingly a very intense movie in like
Yeah.
certain parts. I mean it's A24, so I don't know what I was expecting necessarily. Um because they're sort of like off the wall. They make great movies, shocker, I know.
Hmm. I am
But
shocked. Yeah.
it's just so it's dark, yes, but it's also like I was surprisingly like very on edge for a lot of it, and which is also to help with the score, which I actually don't know his name, and I feel like as a what you think podcast person, I should have had his name. So I'm just stalling for
Oh,
time for
I
Cameron to
I
look
I
it
have
up.
it memorized. I'm just
You're just waiting for me to finish talking, so
right.
that
No,
way
because I want you to be
you
able to
can.
get your. I want you to
Yeah,
be able to get your. It's Rob Simonson.
yeah. Rob Simonson does a beautiful score. Um, Known for his
Oh
other
yeah.
works. Like, what
No.
was
I
that one
again. I
movie?
just wanted you to be able
What
to
was
comment
that?
on his
Yeah,
name.
yeah,
He did Foxcatcher.
yeah. He does. Yeah, he
Um.
did Foxcatcher.
Yep. Um. He did. Okay. Wait. Uh. 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 It I IMDb is another word I use for my own brain. They really set this up in a weird way. The Adam Project,
Yep, you might know him from the Adam Project.
Ghostbusters Afterlife, the classics.
So
So
he has not done a lot.
he's done a lot. Is just yeah. No,
Either
he's done
way,
a lot.
his score is very stringy, very suspenseful, and it's very eerie. It's like such a it fits Brendan's character so well. It's such a huge score, and it's very very impressive. I will say, adds to like the scary feeling of the not so scary movie.
It has been a minute since I've seen it, so I can't say this with 100% certainty, but I think I remember being reminded of The Last of Us by the score.
Wait, what's up behind
right,
you? Oh
right
yeah.
there. Oh yeah, yeah.
For the audio listeners, there's a Last of Us poster behind Kevin's head.
Yeah, not necessarily because of it sounds exactly like it, but because the emotion and like the desperation and the sadness that you're able to get from the music in that game and in this movie like strikes a similar chord.
Absolutely. It's just very well put together, and I don't think he'll get a nomination, unfortunately. But still, it would be nice if he did, though I don't think he will. And as far as director goes, kind of touching back on that, this is definitely going to be a Best Picture nominee. I don't think it really has a shot at winning, but you're shaking your head no.
I was shaking my head no initially in agreement that I don't think it has a chance. I really don't know anymore. Coda won last year.
Well, that's a different year because that was the slap. Like,
but they didn't know that was going to happen when they picked who
that's
won.
the Community season 4. Okay, so they're gonna blame everything on the slap that went wrong with it. Okay,
when we picked Coda months in advance, we knew no one would care.
Either way, there's a new age of cinema happening. We know this with like Everything Everywhere coming out. It's like this has a possibility of being the first sci-fi movie. I don't think Everything Everywhere will win. I think it's too.
Oh, I definitely think it definitely could.
I would love for it to win. Don't get me wrong.
I think it should. I think it should.
I just think it's too controversial in a sense to where it is so off the walls that I don't think the old heads in the Academy are going to choose for it to win. We're getting off topic here. We're getting too off topic. Either way, what I'm saying is that as far as The Whale goes, it's going to get, I would say, a few nominations. I don't think director is one of them, and I don't think set design is. I think it's getting
set design is
Best Picture, main actor, main lead, or leading actor. And I believe
supporting actress.
I don't think it.
She was pretty good.
She was great. Are we talking about
It could be either of them. Yeah,
I think Hong
Chau or Sadie Sink.
Great,
honestly.
So maybe, and obviously it'll get Best Adapted Screenplay. Or not, it won't get it, but it will be nominated for it. Other than that, though, I don't see it getting nominated for anything else.
I could see a director nomination. I could.
I just think there's so many. Like, so we have Spielberg. Stop. We can't do this. We can't do this. That's for our Oscar episode. That's for December. Okay.
Yeah.
Or no, probably January. We'll probably do it closer to the Oscars.
You know what? February. I'm pushing it back.
March. We'll wait till after.
We're doing it after.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry. It has a lot of good things going for it, but also struggles with a few things. As far as like my issues with it, is the has to do with some of the writing.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that some stuff drags a little bit. Some stuff I honestly didn't really care for, involving two characters, which I'm not going to spoil right now because we're not in our spoiler section. But there was one other storyline going on in this. Well, there's multiple like things happening in the movie, okay? But one character that's kind of introduced in the beginning of the movie, they're just there for the rest of the movie, and personally I didn't quite care for uh his segment, and it was just kind of like every single time he was on the screen, I was liking it, yes, but then at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, this is kind of going on for a few minutes longer than it needs to. This is kind of nitpicky. Okay,
I will say, I know who you're talking about, and I would have to disagree almost entirely.
Well,
But
and we'll
which is
talk about that in our spoiler section. Okay,
right.
so we
But
could agree to disagree for that.
mhm.
Um,
I just to slightly kind of touch on what you said. Uh, uh, I didn't think there was a lot of wasted space in the writing department or anything, and hot take alert, especially after seeing Tar and knowing what wasted space really looks like. Um, I I think that the whale is actually very like everything is very intentional and deliberate,
mhm,
and I think that every storyline and every dialogue has like its place in the movie.
yeah, sure. Um, I think you're right. I don't know. I also don't think you're right for some part.
Mhm.
And I will say, after watching some recent movies together, um, like Tar, for example, I still like Tar, but like this, if anything, those movies and these movies that are coming out are making me want to watch The Whale like again.
Mhm.
Um, just because like I really like it. I found myself that like as time goes on, and we saw the trailer today in the theater when we were watching Banshees,
It's
and
so
we're
cool
like,
that we saw the movie before the trailer was out.
I that
Love
yeah,
that,
like that.
dude.
We saw the movie before it had a poster, like,
Right.
which I mean, to be fair, every
The po-
poster I've seen has just been his face. Okay,
right, and I
so
think that's what the official poster is.
yeah, it is
But
without the black bar covering his eyes.
mhm, mhm,
Um, I've been like really looking forward to watching this with like my mom, my brother, my dad, like anyone that like
mhm.
has any slight interest in watching this. First of all, you'll need to see it in December. December 9th is when it comes out. You got to watch it. It's so good. But I'm just like so hooked on it. Very similar to like Everything Everywhere, but for like completely different reasons.
Mhm.
I'm very excited to show this to a lot of people. And simply because it's of Brendan's performance. Like if he was like even half as good, I probably wouldn't care for it as much. But it's like so
Well,
impactful
this
to
is a very
watch.
performance heavy movie because it doesn't have
Yeah.
really anything else to latch onto.
Yeah. And it's also like well done by the makeup department as well, because it had this is kind of spoiler, not really. Brendan Fraser's fat in the movie. Okay. It deals with a man that is dying to obesity. And he's basically just living his life like this, and as a result, um, his friends are kind of getting pushed away, and some of his family as well. So it's him kind of coming to terms and just to terms and living with it. So and he's huge in this movie. He is ginormous, and it is. I mean, I'm sure there's some CG used, but we looked it up. It was all like prosthetic for the most part.
I don't
It's
even
just
know if they use CG, honestly. I,
it's very. I mean, they have to, just because like if you're wearing a fat suit, they're gonna have to like digitally remove like the
maybe
lines
like
of your
seams and stuff.
exactly.
Yeah,
But
maybe
it is very impressive on like it's not going to get a nomination for me. I mean, it might. Who knows? Because I feel like the Batman's going to
it
for
could.
Colin Farrell, but it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. But
Yeah.
typically, that's like period piece stuff. Uh, anyways, as far as like our VFX goes, there's not a lot going on in this movie, if any. So I can't say for if like I
Yeah,
mean
but it doesn't.
if it's in there, I didn't notice it. Like
Right, it doesn't. It's not that kind of movie. It's
yeah,
if
it's
like
definitely not.
yeah.
I just for me, I don't think I necessarily understood a majority of it too. Which I mean, we only got to see it one time, and maybe like the message seemed kind of unclear to me. I needed Cameron to explain it to me.
This
Um,
seems kind of like a spoiler discussion.
we're not going into spoilers yet. Okay, I'm
I know.
just
I'm
saying.
just telling you. No, like I we can go deeper into
I
this
I feel
observation.
like we've talked about as much as we could without spoiling.
Well, I will say before we move to a spoiler thing, I want to touch on some. I have looked up some reviews of this. Most of them are positive. Like a lot of them are positive. This is going to be a very critically acclaimed movie. But a lot of the criticism I have seen comes from a lot of, I mean, I'm not going to specifically say people because I don't remember, but it's a lot of people who disagree with the portrayal of obesity in the movie and say that it was exploitative and not like, I don't know what the word would be, but it's like not accurately depicted or appropriately depicted, and I would have to disagree.
As me and Cameron relate to this.
Okay, we're not that we can't we can't directly relate to it.
Exactly. Yeah, you're
But
right.
I think, again, spoiler free. I think that the people were disturbed. The reviews that I saw, they were disturbed by how they portray his obesity and his eating habits as a negative thing, and they portray it as a disgusting thing.
Yeah.
And I think
it is, though.
it is. Well, I think that even if we like the health stuff, like you can try to, debate the health stuff, but it's just unhealthy to be that way. But in terms of like portraying someone like that, whether or not that like you think it's trying to say, oh, all people that are like all obese people are like this. That's not what they're saying. They're saying this is what this guy feels like. We're going to put you in his shoes, and when you're feeling gross, it's not because you're a bad person who hates fat people. It's because he feels gross.
That's right. Well, that being said, I'll say we're not going to do number ratings. Okay, if you want number ratings, follow us on Letterboxd. All right, that was my dog. Follow us on Letterboxd. That will be in like our description for me and Cameron's. Probably both of Cameron's because he has two.
I mean, we'll talk about it. We'll see later.
I've got one. But so if you want our number ratings, then just check out the Letterboxd. You'll probably also see it before we even like post these. So either way, I will say I'm a really big fan of this, and I feel like I'm going to just continue to love it more and more as I continue to watch it in the future. So yeah, chef's kiss.
Yeah, and I would say that it is one of the best movies to come out this year and in a while. The performances are great. This almost makes up for the horrendous cancellation of Batgirl because Brendan Fraser makes a great performance. It's definitely, I would not say it's for everybody, but if you're even kind of intrigued by either the trailer or by what you've heard here,
the movie's very disturbing, I will say. Like one scene in particular that we'll talk about later is very tough to watch. I mean, a lot of the movie is tough to watch, but especially when you kind of figure out what's happening, it's kind of hard to watch. So take that also if you are sensitive to like if you have got a sensitive stomach, I'd recommend still watching it. But because it's great,
it is rated R, guys.
It is. There are some cuss words.
There are. But yeah, basically, to make a long story short, it's fantastic. And if you're interested, you should see it.
Podcast.
If you're interested, you should see it. But if it doesn't look like your thing, then you might
watch it. Just watch it.
You should. You could watch it, but you might.
December 9th. Me and Cameron are better, so that's why we got to see it better.
Hey, you know what? Maybe we'll go see it opening night. Come meet us. Our Ben's address
is. Do not. just dox my address in the movie theater.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like assuming like more than 10 people will watch this, but like on the off chance that like we get a huge following in like 5 years. They're like, guys, they said their address, and like I've got like my kids running around like there's like strangers that are like traveling. No. We're in the this is spoiler section. We're in spoilers now. Spoilers.
Okay. Spoilers. He lives on Oh yeah.
My spoiler alarm.
Spoiler alert, starring Jim Parsons is
coming out soon. Cameron. So we're in the theater. We're watching Banshees of
I know what you're
Inisherin.
gonna
Well, no.
say.
We're watching Tar. We're in the theater ready. We've got me, my wife, my brother, Cameron's brother. We're
And that's
all
it.
hyped
Yeah.
to go. Like, we're not hyped. I'm pretty excited to see this. So we're sitting down, you know, getting ready to watch Tar. There's probably two other people in this theater watching it with us,
Right.
and we are like,
The trailers are playing.
yeah, the trailers are playing, and we're getting like our usual trailers, like a Glass Onion or whatever play. I don't
Right.
even think that played, but then the movie, spoiler alert, starring Jim Parsons, plays,
Also known as Sheldon Big Bang.
and like, if you haven't seen the trailer, pause this and go watch the trailer, and then listen.
And then
to,
I'll
like,
walk you through my train of thought as we're watching it. Okay, welcome back. What it is, so it's obvious. It's like, regular rom-com stuff. It's like, oh, I met this guy, and then like, oh, and then there's a scene where he's like, should we take this to the bedroom? And he opens the door, and the other guy stops and is like, no, and he peeks in, and he has the biggest, most intense Smurfs collection ever. And
It's like
I thought the
Smurf
movie,
bad. Like,
I was so excited because I thought the movie was going to be a rom-com about this guy's obsession with the Smurfs getting in the way of their relationship. And I was so excited to see this movie.
So when we're sitting, like, watching it, I hear Cameron, like, I thought he was joking, like, because what I thought you thought, like, because you told me today at Banshees that you legitimately thought that this movie
I
was going to be about this
legitimately
guy's,
thought that.
like terrible, like,
Smurfs obsession.
like addiction to Smurf collecting. And I thought, when you told me that, I was thinking, like, did you think the movie was gonna do a 180 and just be like a complete, like, thriller on, like, this guy just paranoid and, like,
No, I thought
having
it.
to, like,
I thought it
collect
was
all
gonna
these
be like
Smurfs?
obviously a comedy, but I thought it was gonna be a semi-dramatic. This guy has an obsession with the Smurfs that gets in the way of all of his relationships. How is he going to like? How is he going to balance his Smurfs obsession with him finding his soulmate or whatever?
Oh
And I
my
was
god,
so excited.
that's
And then the
so
rest of the
funny.
trailer, there's no more Smurfs, and now I'm not gonna watch the movie.
Smurf or die. It's me or the Smurfs.
Seriously.
So, which is a good segue into our movie, Smurfs 2. No, no. Do you have it?
No, I have something similar. Um, I don't have the movie itself, but I do have the Wii U game adaptation.
So I'm assuming there's a Wii U Smurfs game.
I don't know.
Why would they make a Smurfs, like, 2 video game only?
I mean, it
Well, I
wouldn't be the
mean,
first time something like that's happened.
I was about to say Toy Story 3.
There are Toy Story games for all of them and more.
No, there's not.
It came out in the 90s, so it was on the PlayStation 1.
I had the Leapster Toy Story 3 video game, and then I had the.
Me too. I have it right here.
Do you really?
Yes. You don't know that I collect Leapster games?
I did not, dude. This is a throwback. This is nostalgia, bro. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. So, do you know the level where you're in the play set of the daycare, and, like, it's nighttime because they're trying to escape on the Leapster? And I remember, like, because it's like an educational video game. I remember getting so ticked at it because I could not do the simple task that the Leapster was wanting me to do for it. I was like getting, also, it was probably me and, like, the 10 layers of grease that I probably just put on the Leapster when I was a kid. Like,
Right.
like I remember, like, the string of my stylus just being, like, disgusting. Like,
Dude, I
oh.
used to like
Oh. And speaking of eating things,
the whale.
the whale.
Spoiler review.
So we're in our spoiler section. So a few things I mean, to kick off the spoiler section.
He dies at the
He
end.
dies at the end. So
Did you just spoil that for Sarah? Oh.
so anyways, that happens, and so this movie has some spoilers.
Yeah, a few.
I didn't see it with Sarah. I just saw it with Cameron and Riley. So, oh well. I'm just gonna say whatever and hope that
Is she paying
like
attention?
they're in their own world. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we're just gonna
Okay.
see what happens. But
If before we get into specifics, we should probably give a little bit more of a thorough synopsis of what
yeah.
happened.
Uh-huh.
So basically, it's about Charlie, who is an overweight online college teacher for English,
English
and
and
yes,
composition.
and throughout the movie, he interacts with the few people he has left in his life. He has a friend
A
who's
friend
a
slash nurse who is
friend
played by
slash
Hong
nurse,
Chau.
right? And there is a missionary that comes to his house and then stops by every now and they talk about life and stuff. And then the main like thing that most of the trailers and the synopsises are about is him trying to reconnect with his estranged daughter that he left her and her mom for a man. And so it's just about him trying to reconcile with that relationship after the damage she's caused in her life. And since he knows that it's coming to an end.
Right. And I will say, for how much Sadie Sink is played up to be in this movie, her screen time is like
It's
one
a
of the
pretty
it's one of the least of the
yeah,
cast members. I because her Hong Chau is in it a majority of it. Like she's in it all, like quite a bit, and same as the um like uh minister kid,
yeah.
the missionary. Um, Sadie Sink's still in it, but I was a bit surprised by the lack of how much she is in it, but how much she's played to be in it. Like we almost got Zendaya, not as Zendaya as like in Dune,
Right.
where Zendaya is literally in like 5 minutes of Dune. Um,
It's not like that, but it her absence is kind of important though.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that as a negative thing. I'm just saying
Right.
it's interesting that I mean I know she's probably the bigger
It's
name of
yeah.
these people that are in it, so I mean it
Yeah.
makes sense. Movies do that
It
all
is
the time.
similar to Dove Cameron with Vengeance, where
Well, Dove
every trailer.
Cameron's not the. I would say Ashton Kutcher in Vengeance.
No, what I'm saying, like there were full trailers, like 2 minute long trailers that were only Dove Cameron footage, and then when you go see the
Really?
movie, it's the only scenes that she's in.
Um, Vengeance is. We'll do a video on Vengeance
We
someday.
will.
No,
Okay,
Vengeance
unless it
is
gets
pretty bad,
nominated for something.
and I hope it does because
I hope it doesn't.
I would love to talk about Vengeance,
We'll have to find an excuse for it
dude.
someday.
That
That
movie
got
is
way too much
awful.
good reviews.
Yeah, like maybe we're just hating on it too much, but
I
I
don't know,
don't
man.
think so. I think it's terrible. It's so pretentious. Anyways, uh I would say yeah, so it's about him and he finds out that he is well, he's dying, and we know how that ends. So
And now
um
so does Sarah.
yes. Um so it's him, like you said, coming to terms, and it's like he we find out he's rich, like he's loaded, and one of the ways he gets to talk his daughter into spending more time with him is that he literally bribes her with like $120,000.
Mhm.
Um, he knows his life's ending, and for some reason he doesn't want to get the help because he can't afford it. He just doesn't want to. Um, so I'm kind of confused on that. Maybe there's a deeper meaning to him not wanting to get help. I'm
No,
kind of asking you.
they explained why. Um, they said it. That's when they explained that all that money was already saved for his daughter
Mm-hmm.
anyway, and so he wasn't going to use it on himself because he didn't feel like he could, because he wanted to. He knew that he kind of was like did something terrible to her, and he wanted to positively impact her.
Well, if he
And
was worried about spending her money, he wouldn't be getting two large pizzas and like a bucket of fried chicken and all the, like he wouldn't be spending.
he takes enough. If you think about it like this, he takes enough to live. Like he takes enough to pay for his utilities, his food, and then literally everything else goes to her. That'll accumulate over time.
Sure. Fine. You win this one. No, you're right,
One
you're
point,
right.
Cameron. No point bin.
Yeah. But yeah, sure, whatever. No, you're right. I do agree with you. And we can kind of talk about what I sort of disliked about it, which was the missionary, the kid. I have no issue with him at all. Ty Simpkins, he does a pretty good performance.
Iron Man 3 kid.
Yeah, Iron Man 3 kid. I just, for me, was not interested at all in it. Like, his story for the movie is that he ran away from home, or no, he got like
that's not what we don't know
he,
about
he
that.
tells them that he ran away.
So
no, he didn't. He said that he was on a mission trip.
Really, what it is he when we're introduced to him, it just seems like it's a regular like door to door, Mormon, Jehovah's Witness, whatever, door to door religious outreach or whatever, and then he keeps coming back, and he throughout conversation we find out that he's not telling everything, and throughout the movie we learn more and more about him. And I disagree with you. I think it was a good part of the movie. I was interested when he was on screen.
It's just, for me.
Do we want to talk about? Is this when we want to bring up our audience that we were with?
I mean, yeah. So
okay,
for me,
there is a lot of religious themes into this movie.
Yes,
but surprisingly, they're surprisingly neutral. Like,
yeah,
it's not an anti-religion, nor is it really a pro-religion movie. It's just kind of
typically a lot of the movies we do see nowadays are more on that anti-religion, because religion is controversial. And the movie does take a, like you said, very neutral approach. They're not fully coming out and saying that this is like, well, you're terrible if you believe in this, or you're right if you believe in this. They're not saying that. They're saying
every positive and negative representation.
Every character has their point of view on the religion. For instance, this boy's religion views homosexuality as a sin and how it's evil. And obviously our lead, Charlie's character, or Brendan Fraser's character, Charlie, is, homosexual and quite obviously disagrees with them. And there's a very heated segment where Brendan is like confronting this boy about his religion and is bashing it. But it's very serious. I would say it's not handled as a joke at all. But for some strange reason,
dude,
our theater, the people in our audience found
any situation that this character was in a bad spot, if he was sad, depressed, getting bullied, getting hated, they were cracking up.
Like, they loved watching this kid's demise. Like,
yeah,
they were like rooting for it. Where I'm like, he's human, man. Like,
yeah. The worst part.
He literally stole money out of his church and then went on the run because he felt like he was gonna get like banished from his like family and everything. And
yeah,
we've got our like theater cracking up. He's like, oh, he's religious.
The worst part is when the daughter, which is revealed to be a terrible person, the daughter bullies him into smoking weed, which is something he had already told her he struggled with addiction with. She bullies him into smoking, and this whole scene where she's bullying him into smoking, which, religious or not, if you're bullying someone who used to be addicted to weed into smoking again, that's not cool. And
take it from me and Cameron.
Yeah, take it from. Anyway, like, they are cracking up. Like, this is the latest and greatest of Adam Sandler, right? 51st dates, right?
Like, replace Adam Sandler,
right?
For Brendan Fraser.
No, but like, they are cracking up. Like, this person isn't being like basically harassed and stuff, but every other subplot is like, oh man, I can't believe it.
It was very cringy, I will say, our theater. But also, me and Sarah had like similar experiences when we saw Empire of Light. Like, they were being very rude towards the movie and the audience itself. It's like simple stuff on like, you're showing up 10 minutes late to a movie, you're leaving like 20 minutes before it's over, you're like like being obnoxiously like you're opening a can. Who brought a can of soda and the like while two characters like having an argument. I'm like, bro, someone just popped a Coke. So
people like within the last 5 minutes of the movie laughing at how fat he is. Like the joke hadn't got old. It wasn't a joke, but even if it was, how are you
and there
laughing
are
at it for
fat
2
jokes
hours?
in the movie. Like some of them are funny, but also others. It's like our audience was so immature to realize like when to shut up, like when
Right.
to just like watch the movie and understand a tragedy when there is one, versus like it's like if someone walked up to a 10-year-old, shot them in the head, and like our theater I gotta cut that out.
I don't know
Can't do
if
that
that's
one.
exactly true.
But no, it's like it's something like quite obviously like really sad. Like this guy is dying. This guy is literally ate himself to death. Like he's gluttonous and he is just eating so much to where he is like losing his life. And we have our people in our audience just cracking up because he needs a walker to get around his house. You
Right.
know? Like it's a hard watch, and our theater made it very like aggravating, I will
Right.
say.
And not in the way that the movie wants it to be aggravating.
Yeah.
Right. I will say there was one part that I did have to try not to laugh at, and it wasn't because of the movie. There was a scene towards the end where he stands up and he's trying to walk, and it's like symbolic and all this stuff. And there's a close up of his feet
I just
moving on the
remember
ground, and it is definitely unintentionally a shot for shot remake of the captain from Wall-E
it's not. It is
walking
not.
to the steering wheel at the end.
Oh my word.
And like I was still fully immersed. I was still impacted, but the similarities were too much. I did crack a smile at that moment.
Yeah. I did not like think that at all until you told me about it. But I no, I that's and like other people in our theater probably were thinking the same thing. Oh yes. For every movie we do, you have to have a Leapster game like almost like somehow like
Right.
touching, you know what I mean?
Right.
But there's that. There were people laughing during I mentioned in our spoiler free section uh a pretty disturbing scene where he's hit his lowest. Charlie has. He's hit his lowest in the movie. The pizza man just saw him and ran away. Uh, which it's not a joke. He's literally just like hiding from the pizza man, and the pizza man found him, uh, and ran away. And that just helped or sent him down like this. Even the whole movie, he's on a
Because
downward
the
spiral.
reason it gets to him is because he has made a habit. Like the pizza guy, him and this pizza guy have the routine. The pizza guy leaves the pizza on the patio, and the money is already in the mailbox. Charlie has set up a system to where he does not have to be seen by people not already in his life. And so when this guy doesn't see him, he cares about him, and he's like, "Hey man, are you okay? You doing good?" and stuff like that. And then the time he finally does get seen, he runs away, which like makes Charlie feel like the monster that he thinks he is, based on his weight.
Yeah, but so it goes on this downward spiral. But this part, it's just like he drops down an elevator shaft type thing. It's like
Right.
he is like eating disgusting things. Like he's just like shoving, and he's literally doing this. Brendan
It
is.
is gross.
He's actually just shoving food that I would probably vomit at just because of like how much he's shoving in his mouth.
Like
And like
jelly and Doritos and like
yeah,
pizza and
jelly,
ranch and
Doritos. He's like like two full slices of pizza with like ranch just all over it, and he's shoving it in his mouth. He's got like these meatball subs. Also, when he's when he's choking on the meatball sub in like the beginning part of the movie,
uh-huh.
that is like another like just gross and like intense scene. You know what I mean? I'm like, you're 30 minutes in the movie, and I'm like, I didn't have a fear that he was gonna die, but I'm like, ugh, I couldn't take it. I was like, ugh.
Right.
I normally don't squeal, not squeal. I normally don't squirm. I don't like squirm in my seat for like many things. But this several times I was like physically cringing because I just like was like imagining this,
Right.
like actually happening. I'm like, oh, but yeah, that's what we mean by it's like just it's kind of a hard watch because it's really depressing, really watching somebody like losing their life slowly. Um, and then like when he does like meet up with Sadie Sink or when she kind of goes to his house, uh, that is just really abusive. Like she's just like, I mean, granted, he did leave her, so I understand. Like he left that whole family, he kind of screwed them over a little bit. Yeah.
So he obviously left. It's obviously like he's not, blameless,
Mm-hmm.
but she's not just mad and aggressive towards him. She's just outwardly and openly antagonistic to everyone in the movie. She's the person who's bullying the kid into taking weed, and she records it and sends it to his family, trying to get him in trouble and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so she's just
Or taking
awful.
pictures of Charlie and posting it on Facebook. It's like
Right.
she's a cyber bully. She's a like just an IRL bully. She's a manipulator. She's a gaslighter. She is a truly awful person.
Which
Um,
I think is going to be interesting to see the reaction of, because Stranger Things fan bases, there's obviously the normals and then there's the crazies, and like the crazies have really latched on to Sadie Sink, and
yeah,
so seeing her in this role might, you
crush
know,
them.
cause a problem.
It's she's good in it. She is. It's
She is
just
good.
I think Hong Chau is the second best in this movie.
Hmm.
Uh, she plays Charlie's friend slash nurse, and it's you can truly like you can really tell they have a friendship. They have great chemistry. Um, and every single time they're on screen together, she's her type of character is like she really loves Charlie. She cares for him a lot. You can tell they're good friends and they've been friends for a while. And you come to find out that her brother was the one that was dating Charlie until he passed away. Um,
The brother died.
yeah, and so that's why they're so close. And you see her really uh her
And she,
the thing is it's obese. The movie deals with obesity as it doesn't just affect the person that is obese, it truly does affect everyone else around them, like
right.
uh which
She's put in a very interesting position because she is Charlie's best friend, and I'm sure Charlie is probably her best friend. And she wants what's best for Charlie, which what's best for Charlie is two equally, like, exact opposite things. She knows she's a nurse, she's a medical professional. She knows he needs to go to the doctor, he needs to get his life turned around. But she also knows the only thing that gets Charlie through the day is eating. And so in the same conversation, she will be talking about how imperative it is that he goes and sees a doctor and starts changing his habits while she's handing him the biggest meatball sub on planet Earth.
yeah,
And
that's what friends are for.
it's
When you're
it's
down, I'll give you some meatball.
right. It's depressing, and like you can tell how conflicted she is and stuff like that. And that is her performance is great, and they play off each other really well.
Hmm. And we also have so the mom is in this. Sadie Sink's like or her character's mom and Charlie's ex-wife. She's in it. I also didn't care for that as much. I cared about their argument. I was really invested in like their argument that they had, but I felt like the mom or the ex-wife was introduced like kind of at an odd. It was bound to happen in the movie. They were hinting at it kind of with like, "Does your mom know you're here? Oh, your mom hates me." Blah blah blah. But I feel like, first of all, uh, I don't think the actress was that good. I'm gonna be honest. Um,
I don't think she was bad.
I
She
don't think
didn't.
she was. I don't think she was that good. Okay,
Okay.
but like I said, well, we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But every like argument that that is had in this movie, because he does argue with everybody.
Yeah.
That it's every time it's really good. It's always about something different, but every time it's like it's very very good. And um kind of before we kind of end this, I do want to touch on one thing which Cameron mentioned everyone does not face their problems in this.
Yeah, this is what I think could possibly give it a directing nomination, is because of the like focus put on the way people move around the space. This is the purpose I was talking about in the spoiler section. Every single person in this movie has a clearly defined aspect of their life or the environment or something that makes them uncomfortable, or like for like outward reasons, or most of the time it's for more personal introspective reasons. And every time those come up, the people who can in the movie physically turn away from, and a lot of the times even walk away from their problems. And um you see that a lot when people are talking as they're like pacing around the house trying not to look at people. When Charlie is stuffing his face and his friend doesn't like that he's killing himself, she will watch TV and she won't look at him. And like Charlie, I think it's so interesting also because Charlie's the only character in the movie who cannot physically walk away from his problems. And so you get the same feeling of avoidance and um you know just pushing stuff off to the side. You get he when he's going on on his eating binges, he gets the most dead-eyed, out in space stare I've ever seen in a movie, where there's literally nothing going on in his head except for he's trying so hard to focus in on the pleasure he's feeling at that exact moment, because how it won't last. And then once he's done eating, he's gonna have to face his problems again. And
Yeah.
I just think it's so good.
Um, I think with that being said, I really do feel like we covered everything that I would have liked to talk about. Unless, can you think of anything else? I know we didn't talk about everything. And go watch the movie. You know,
Mm.
because we're really not going to talk about everything. But if there's something else you wanted to mention, go ahead. But
I think that's it. It's been a while since I've seen it, so
yeah,
I am probably forgetting something.
but
But
with that being said, Cameron, what do you got going on? What can I plug for you? You got anything? I know
um,
we got your letterboxed.
yeah, I'm starting this podcast with my friend Ben called "What'd You Think."
Yeah.
It's gonna be on insert places it's at here,
Mm.
and um,
I guess we can go ahead and read our Patreon supporters. So, anyways, thank you guys for no. Uh um that's the whale, you know.
yeah.
It's pretty good.
And then we'll talk. Ending it here, we'll toss it on to you guys. What'd you think?
What did you think? We'll
Yeah.
ask you guys the question. No. Uh next our next episode is gonna be Banshees of Inisherin. We already saw that, but we're not gonna give you any spoilers on
No,
that
I'm
episode.
not gonna talk about
But
it.
Cameron, use a face on your reaction at the end of the movie.
Yeah, this one. Well, this one's only gonna really be understood by the audio listeners, but I was looking like this the whole time. You know, and I was like,
And mine was this.
yeah, yeah,
So that's something you guys got to look forward to next week. So
uh huh.
either way, thank you, Cameron. I will see you soon.
Uh, Thank you,
Uh
Ben. I'll see you soon.
I don't know how
Uh,
to end
I
these.
don't know how to end it.
I guess we
I
could
guess what